Ladies, gentlemen, and others, welcome to The Real Deal with Aanam C. Today I have a guest that is honestly more of a friend and less of a guest. So I feel like you're just going to hear us hanging out a whole lot. He is a beauty influencer, actor. I didn't know you were a TEDx speaker until we got down to like major guest research. Is someone who sings very, very beautifully. There's so many ways to introduce you, and yet I'm falling short of words because you're just so damn multi-hyphenated. So welcome to my podcast, Jason Arland.
I'm so excited to be here. Oh my God, I don't believe this is technically my first podcast. I've done it before, so I'm very excited to do this.
I'm glad that you lose your podcast virginity with me.
Yes. I'm so excited.
I have lots to ask you. So for context to those of you who are watching / listening, of course, there's a lot that I know and I'm still going to ask you for people to listen to. But there are certain things that I actually haven't asked you, which I feel like I should, especially because I want to talk about your journey as a queer content creator, as someone who is so out and about and honest about your journey, which I genuinely admire just so much. So let's take this way back to scratch. And let me start with asking you, I've never asked you this before. What was your coming out to the family like? Because we have to set context for everyone.
I don't have a coming out story. I'm one of those gay kids who I think I was so gay that everybody just knew I was that gay. There was not one cell in my body that was not, I think, voguing by the time I touched this planet or I was out of my mom's vagina. I don't have a coming out story. And so I always wonder, maybe because I'm from a middle class family, so hamari almariyan thi, closets nahi.
I love that.
Maybe that's the reason. My dad's been an artist. He's always been around queer people. It was not groundbreaking. It was not something to talk about in my family. It was never an issue. It was not important at all to talk about my sexuality. Which bothers me now when I think about it, because I feel like yaar mera matlab footage chala gaya, because sabke paas itni kahaniyan hoti hai, mere paas hai nahi ek bhi.
But isn't that the most beautiful
It is.
way of
I'm so
normalizing
lucky.
it?
Yeah.
Because see, I mean, I know you're not originally from Mumbai.
Yeah.
You're from Nagpur.
Yes.
You grew up there. You were
Yes.
born there. And
Yes.
one would assume that it would have been tougher to come out to a family that's, you know.
That's the thing. My culture shock happened when I came to big cities.
Oh.
Yeah, for
Wait,
me, it was
what?
a very opposite. I started being in the business, the whole entertainment business, since I was 16 years old. I was dancing always, and I was always up on stage. My dad, like I said, was a musician. I've always seen him perform. I've always cross-dressed. I was in an all-boys school. My mom was a teacher in the same school. I was always the lead dancer. I would never share the spot. I was winning every competition. The pressure to be the, teacher's child was always there, and I was winning in school, and I was always famous, and I was always feminine, and I cross-dressed. My sister would come, and she was in an all-girls school, and her friends would come for every annual function and all these events and do my makeup. My mom used to wake up like 7 in the morning, and with my sister, we would rip curtains and buy the most cheapest fabric from stores and make my costumes, hot glue, stick things, and while they were dressing their boy as a girl. And my femininity was literally embraced and was celebrated to a crazy extent. So I grew up in a household where it was very normal, and it was never like, I never even met people in Nagpur growing up. Now on the hindsight is a little different. Boys from Nagpur were known, there was like this whole gang I remember. There were boys who would dress up in kashta and would do launi and lugras, and they would be in boogie woogie. When this is before DID, guys. Okay, sorry, Gen Zs.
Boogie woogie is like a thing from the 90s and early 2000s
Yeah,
that only we would know.
And if you loved dancing, you were watching boogie woogie.
I've gone in person to watch
have?
those. Yeah, because I mean, Javed Jaffrey, Navid Jaffrey, those guys were the OG dancers from the early 2000s.
Before Takeshi's Castle happened. Let me never talk about it. But yeah, I loved, I used to see boys. There's this venue called Deshpande Hall, which is just basically, I think, the biggest venue where it's like a stage. It's like where all these dance competitions would happen.
Like a
auditorium.
Auditorium, yeah.
It was known, and I remember as soon as I would come in my outfit, I knew I was getting the first prize. The audience would yell my name while I was cross-dressing, and it was
shout out to Deshpande Hall.
Shout out to Deshpande Hall. It's still there. So But when I came to, let's say, Bombay and Pune, when I moved, that was the first time. I also did not understand what queer culture was. Let me tell you, I thought like I was the only boy on this planet whose heart was beating for a dude or watching Lux Cozy ad. Growing up, choices.
More on that.
But I think all the gay kids will relate to it. I think our first interactions of understanding kuch to ho raha hai is like when we are in the underwear section and you're like,
Really?
what is this?
See, that's perspective. That a cis-het woman like me is like, wait, but that sounds so like interesting that's when you went,
Yeah.
oh, wait.
Yeah. It's not like, but on television there was none. But yeah, those were like my moments of being like, kuch to matlab off hai yaar. But then at the same time,
Off nahi, sab kuch on hai.
sab kuch on now. But then as growing up, like you doubt what's happening. I think as family, but when I was 14 years old, or I think 16, my sister was a medical student, and she had a counselor who was her teacher in college, and she was studying physiotherapy. And she wanted to understand me, and my family wanted to understand if I want to transition, because I was very feminine. And I also did not understand it. I think I felt growing up at some point that maybe I have to change and switch my gender to rationalize the thought to be with a man. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I did not have any queer friends and I did not see gay men and I did not see what that was. And I was so young. So I had a weird thought. And also like I was in an all-boys school where boys were writing me love letters. And because I was constantly cross-dressed, I remember there was this one boy who was my senior who once said ki, मुझे तेरे अंदर की लड़की दिखती है, something along those lines. And then I felt like, oh, maybe. And I just ran with that thought for a while. And then when I went for counseling, we realized that I am not trans and I'm just a gay boy and I just had to explore. And that's one of the reasons why my father was very supportive back then to let me go at such a young age to a different city. But Pune was not any different from Nagpur because everybody from Nagpur would end up in Pune right after college because that's the closest space to run away from your parents, I believe. And I wasn't studying. I left school and college at a very young age. I wish I stayed in college. If anybody is watching this, I would say stay in college and study more. I think that's one of my biggest regrets in life that I did not study. I just wanted to make quick money. I felt like I knew I'm going to do something. But I realized it can't be done in a classroom. So right after my 12th, I went to Pune and I was dancing and I still didn't meet any queer people in Pune.
Not even in Pune?
No, not really. I mean, I was always around 30, 40-year-olds who were like married and have children, and I was working with them and they were my colleagues, and I was an admin of a company when I was almost 18.
But this was a choice, right?
It was an active choice, yes.
You wanted to consciously leave and was there any resistance from your parents on that?
They were scared. Why would I want to do this? Because there was no plan, to be very honest. I just wanted to make quick, easy money. That's the most honest answer I can give.
No, I appreciate that.
I did not want to study.
But then, okay, so here's my question. When you're growing up, your parents are, you're meeting a psychologist. They're helping you understand whether you're trans or whether you're just a happy gay boy who is accepting who he is.
Yeah.
First of all, major respect to your parents for being so accepting. And this is not in like present times, right? This is like, we're talking about, I don't want to out your age over here.
No, it's okay.
But are we okay with that?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, how old are you?
I will turn 28 this October.
So we're talking about at least like what? 20 years ago?
Yes.
Yeah. And that's something coming from a middle-class Indian family based in Nagpur. The weight of that is something that really makes me appreciate your parents right now. To me, your story sounds like the dream for any gay boy living in India.
Absolutely.
To be able to have it as normal as it could. Because I've heard some really tough stories.
Yes.
I have friends who are lesbians, who are gay. My husband and I have a close friend who's trans. And we think that, she has one of the toughest stories I've ever heard. And we've talked about it on social media as well. And I feel like what you have is beautiful.
Absolutely. And I appreciate it so much. And I give it to my parents and my family. And every day they kept me safe. They built me they kept it as normal. And I don't think, we never spoke about it. I wish we spoke as family about this more. But even now I'm in a space in life where I feel like, Why? Because
It's
it's
such
that,
an Indian family thing, no?
yeah, to baat karo. But,
To not baat
to
karo.
not baat karo and baat karo both, right? पर मुझे भी बाल की खाल नहीं उखाड़नी अभी, क्योंकि जब जी लिए इतना ऐसे और मतलब इतनी ठाट से जिए हैं,
Yeah.
तो अब क्यों मतलब
Yeah.
गड़े मुद्दे को उखाड़ना. What I love about my parents is like I know they were scared. They knew what the world was out like, but their fear was never bigger than the love they had for me. Their fear never overpowered the love. I'm sure they had questions, which they figured and managed amongst themselves, and they never put me in that box where I had to answer those questions, which I forever owe. My father, who I recently lost, such a strong man who, I mean, he was my safety net. So right now, when I say I feel so scared about men, I think he was the only man in my life that I also think I didn't date for the longest time because I think I was so happy having my dad around. That sounds like daddy issues, it's really not. But I'm just saying that he was my companion. I had a man figure. I didn't need another one.
Yeah. When you came to Mumbai after Pune, how long did you live in Pune before you came to Mumbai?
And I lived in Pune 2012, 13, 14. And I think 14, I took a break. I've failed basically in Pune. I thought I'm going to become a dancer. And I joined like every dance class from Shamak Tower, like name it, and I was in it. And I was competing for that in ballroom and I was very good at it, but I was not great. And that was a reality check in my life that I got first, that I am good, but I'm not the best in this. And then I went back home and I felt like a loser. That was my first loss of life, of like trying something to do and I didn't achieve it because I was so used to winning. And I think that's when YouTube happened and I saw Michelle Phan. I think a lot of people can relate to this.
Listen, only millennials are going to make this Michelle
Yeah.
Phan reference. It's just
When
us.
she was turning into Lady Gaga and like putting, I don't know, circle lenses and I don't know, doing double eyelid tapes, whatever. And kind of, it was like, I kind of get this and I kind of dig into this. And I was to anyways wear makeup because I was always on stage and I always dressed up and I dressed up in characters or like I loved being sexy and fancy. So I was just like playing with makeup and I posted a couple of photos on Instagram. My friend forced me to go on Instagram. My dad was like, why don't you just join NIFT? NIFD, not NIFT. And it's in Nagpur. So I enrolled thinking I'll just study costume designing because I want to dance. I should know how to make my own costumes. And I went there literally 10 days into this college situation, which I was trying to go to college now. Somebody saw my images on the internet and they asked me to come to Bombay. And then I came to Bombay and then it was a hoax. Yeah, it was really bad experience. And then, but Bombay aa chuke the, thappad kha chuke the, itne 24 घंटे में. And then I was like, अब यहाँ आ गए हैं और मेकअप करना पसंद है और स्टेज पे भी जाना पसंद है. So I walked around. A friend of mine was like, a theatrical makeup ka store hai yahan pe, which is called Krylon. It was on Waterfield Road. And I went to the store to buy makeup. 8,000 रुपए थे मेरे पास. 3,000 की दुरंतो की टिकट. बाकी पैसे बचे तो तुम खरीद लो डर्मा पैलेट. That was the attitude. So खरीदे पैलेट और वहाँ पे लिखा था we are hiring. So I asked the sales girl कि कितना पैसा देते हैं? She said 18,000 देते. मैंने कहा with whatever you make sales in तुम्हारा number. And I was like, oh cool. I was like, abhi jaake can I give an interview? And she said yes. I went up, I gave an interview, got the job, did not go back home.
And you stayed in Bombay
I
with the
stayed.
Krylon job. I didn't know you worked at Krylon. The store is still there.
Yeah.
Right there at Waterfield Road.
Yeah. Then I met celebrity makeup artists as I was working there. They introduced me to the fashion culture. I taught myself, bought magazines. Every first salary, I would buy one Starbucks, one magazine, teach myself what an espresso shot is, teach myself what this whole culture is about. Somebody introduced me to a group of stylists. I finally, after a year, left Krylon, started freelancing with local photographers in Mumbai. Started making fake cards and entering Lakme. I would like sneak in Lakme and distribute my cards in the launch area, out of which my card went to Sarah Jane Dias, went to her agency, her makeup artist backed off. I got a full time. So I became a celebrity hair and makeup artist with no experience, no team. I had a very small kit and Sarah used to buy me makeup and give it to me. And then Yeah, and then I did movies and web series and did actresses and actors and then but then I always knew my calling was different because I remember जब उस दिन थप्पड़ पड़ा था this person had said कि जब तक घुटनों में नहीं जाओगे और हमारे साथ बैठोगे नहीं उस तरीके से तो तुम्हारा जिंदगी में कुछ नहीं होगा and मैं I always say खुदा गवाह है और जो तुम्हारी चीज़ होती है वो तुम्हारी होती है और जो खुदा तुम्हारे लिख के रखता है वो तुम्हारी होती है तुम्हारी बरकत कोई नहीं छीन सकता is one thing I always believe in. I knew I was meant for something more. And because I always loved being entertainer and I knew I want to be famous to an extent where I can prove this person wrong. I kept working and working and working. इसका उसका करके producers मिले, कोई directors मिले, फिर उसने बोला अच्छा इसका भी चेहरा सुंदर है, अच्छा तू मेकअप करता है, वो टाइम पे there were no boys doing makeup उतना. तो they were like ठीक है इसको भी कैमरा के सामने खड़ा कर दो कुछ montages ऐसी मस्ती मस्ती में कर लिए वो चीज़ें वायरल हो गई फिर फोन आने लगे एजेंसीज के और फिर ये मैगजीन वो मैगजीन then it just became then it was like at this time when influencer culture was just starting I didn't realize what this really meant. I wanted to just become an actor and a model at this point because उसके लिए तो सबसे पहले आए थे पर मेकअप आर्टिस्ट बन गए तो जितना मतलब मेरा दिल जलता था ना to be like in a vanity and doing somebody else's makeup when I used to feel like this should have been my vanity somebody should be doing my makeup मेरा खून जल जाता था to be very honest. It used to feel like what am I doing, what is this slavery, like do you know what I mean, this is mine and I used to pray about it all day and I used to tell God like give it to me, like this is supposed to be mine. And then God opened his doors in abundance and I started then got so many opportunities to act and model and agency signed. I lived in the same building as you in a model's apartment. And yeah, career took off in 2018. And before that, MyGlam actually changed everything. When I went to MyGlam, that was the time, this was before Section 377, and nobody was ready to put a boy up on camera. And I was not even hired to do that. I was hired just to help in product development and help them direct content. And I had made a dummy video for a product that I had curated with them. Darpan Sangvi, thank you so much. And Malaika, my manager, they liked the video so much, they just aired it. And this was the first time there was a boy in a makeup commercial in India from an Indian brand. And every brand ran with it. And then they realized that it was such a hit on the internet. I started becoming the person who also started talking on camera. And that was my playground. MyGlam was my playground to learn body language in front of camera, voice modulation, understanding how excited I was, how to tone it down, grammatically correct myself, how going to work and learning how to do the job.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And then people saw on the internet, then Netflix called, and this person called, and that person called, and then famous ho gaya main fir.
I love it.
It was very that.
And
But
the
there was
rest, as you know, is history.
rest is history. But there was nothing planned.
So here's what I want to ask you. So you said that, when MyGlam and when, of course, Darpan Sangvi got you on board and you did content for them, you were probably amongst the first boys in beauty in the Indian landscape, especially of content.
I would say social media wise because I grew up watching men wear makeup all the time.
Social media wise. Hardcore social media wise. Because I feel like so many things happen behind closed doors, but it's social media, as much as we love to say it has its negative impacts. The positive impact is that we really do have that platform to be able to share, voice, normalize, and just be our authentic selves if that's the way you're going with, right? And do you think that being amongst the first movers in the space was a big advantage that you had at your end? Because what we look around now at, and we were having this conversation at the airport last week while going for the Cosmo Blogger Awards, right? You, me, Deep, I think we were all having this conversation where we realized that all of you who live in Bombay and who do fantastic content, but there is I won't call it saturated because I feel like there's a long way to go for the boys in beauty space to be saturated. But I do think that there's this unique advantage you guys have because you are first movers. I can relate to that because first mover blogger over here.
Amen.
But I also think the fact that you're based in Bombay, can speak a certain way, you have the dialect, you have the access.
Absolutely.
What do you think worked in your favor, or what do you think also didn't work in your favor at that time?
I think all of it worked for me. I think I was in the right time and the right place. That works the most. I always say talent is overrated and oversaturated. Everybody is talented, but not everybody's going to get a chance. That's just the reality of it is what it is.
Timing is everything.
Timing is everything. But I always say कि if अगर मेरा नाम Jason Arland नहीं होता और मेरे बाल blonde नहीं होते और मेरे पास थोड़ा सा accent नहीं होता इंग्लिश में बात करने का, तो सुनने में मेरा आवाज Jason Arland ऐसा बोलते ना jingle नहीं होता, तो शायद people would have not taken me seriously. Because I have been in the game and I've seen kids who have so much more talent and so much more caliber, not taking away what I deserve. Of course, I deserve a lot more and more and more. But I also gonna say that I do look around and I go like, these kids equally deserve, but they may probably in some small city and small town. And because probably they're doing a Hindi reel, so probably an e-commerce brand who wants to sell a lot of international brands, they would not want to have that approach because it's not what you call look and feel of the brand. But what is look and feel of the brand by the end of the day? Because if you are trying, I think colonialism, if I have to like go that deep, is so deeply rooted. कि अभी भी half of the people, I'm sure, जब podcast सुनेंगे तो बोलेंगे ये हिंदी में बात कर रहा है.
During the pandemic, I went through major phases where I felt a sense of, I think a lot of us did, so it's not like this is a unique experience to me. I felt this existential crisis where I said, my job is so frivolous and stupid. And I'm going to be honest, we have fairly shallow jobs. I'm not going to pretend like me giving you a foundation review is going to change our lives. It's not. It's going to make your makeup routine simpler, but it's not going to make you a better human being. Period. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And during the pandemic, there was this huge sense of almost guilt, weirdness. Why the fuck am I doing this? I don't know how to explain it exactly. But I found my calm in creating vlogs because you know how you're saying, like on Instagram, let's say, for example, it is the highlight reel. You show the curated aspects of our life when the lighting's great and the makeup's on, sometimes not on in some of our cases, but it's for a specific purpose. For me, YouTube is the place where the curtains come down, the pressure is off. I can be in a robe. I can be in my night suit. I can be braless and happy about it. I can have my hair in a mess. I've cried multiple times in my vlogs and days when I felt like shit. And initially, way back, I used to cut those parts out. But over the last year, maybe, I've just kept them in because I said, you know what? I want YouTube to be everyone's safe space.
Absolutely.
And I feel you would be so great at it because while you were saying that that's what you struggled with, I can relate because I have been exactly there where I said, I don't always want to present this polished version of me because it is not achievable on an everyday basis. And I don't want anyone who's watching my content and consuming me to feel like she has it all together because she doesn't, baby. She just doesn't on all days.
Can I be a bitch and say something?
Please do.
Okay.
I want the claws to come out.
Not a clause, but this is just something the way I process, and people call me an absolute bitch. So here we go. I don't care and I don't want people to know me.
Okay.
I don't want to share. And my Instagram is not about something that I think people can achieve because you cannot achieve this. I think I'm very beautiful and I'm very stunning. And I think I am not struggling. My content is not how to fix your eyeliner. I'm not teaching you that. You figure it out. I'm just going to show you how great an eyeliner looks on me. My Instagram is about all the great work that I am doing. And it's more like my website than it is a place for people to come and find tutorials. It's, hey, I got a brand campaign, and a fat check, and this is my vacation, It's more of a flex. It's not a space that I've created for people to come and... You can't relate to me. I'm a boy who's wearing a corset and a cross-dressing and cinching my waist with 7 inches heels and putting on makeup and struggling
I hate you on
myself.
those days, just for the record.
And that's the whole point. I want people to hate me on those days.
I've been around Jason on those red carpets, in those red Louboutins, and I've been like, you know what? I love you, but in this moment... I fucking hate you. I'm glad you like that I hate you in those moments.
The whole idea, I did not put on a dress to be like, oh my God, we love you, Jason. I want to piss people off.
Okay, fine.
That's the agenda.
This is a new revelation for me and it makes me feel less bad about saying, Jason, fuck off.
Yeah.
Get away from here.
Work. I love that. I am not trying to be relatable. In my head, if people can get in and they'll realize how big of a star I think I am, it's so scary. So it's not a safe space.
I can't decide whether I want your level of self-confidence or whether I think you're fucking delusional.
But it works.
Yeah, whatever makes you happy, bro.
I think if I see and it has worked because I felt like if I didn't see myself in that light in my head, I would have not been in this profession, probably having a podcast with you. I have manifested it to that extent. You have to weirdly and like a psycho person believe in yourself so hard that, the world can go south, but your narrative stays the same. मैं मेरी favorite हूँ से ऊपर I am. I'm like, the next Oscar goes to Jason and I am already planning how I'm walking and what I'm wearing and how I'm going to wave my hand.
I love that.
And that is literally and I am not walking out of the house. मेरे struggles नहीं है how to wear a bedsheet like a sari. That is not what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to find something from Lajpat Nagar. I'm not going to Lajpat Nagar. All the best. I'm wearing couture. I'm not going to be like DIY. I don't DIY. I'll hire a stylist. But I don't have those struggles. I'm not struggling. Hustle, those days are gone. We're not going back to the couch.
Welcome to my personal favorite segment, Slide Into My DMs. This is where I take a peek into my guests' DMs. And yes, I'll be sharing mine too. In this no-holds-barred segment, we nosedive into our guests' inboxes, as well as messages from you to us from my Instagram. Buckle up for a potentially scandalous round of messages and some sweet ones too. Let's go. Okay, so we do this little segment over here on the pod called Slide Into My DMs.
Okay.
This is where... Yeah, it's literally what the name suggests. This is where I want you to spill the tea on what you get in the DMs.
My issue with people sending their
dick pics? You can say you get dick pics in the DMs?
Yeah, but like really bad ones.
But you want good ones.
Yeah.
That's the complaint.
That's the complaint. Like to clean up. It should not look like a crime scene. It should like even the dick is sorry to be in the pic.
Ooh.
So I want like creativity.
That's what you in this moment, let me just highlight you are asking for dick.
No, I'm not asking for
You
it. I'm saying if you
like
are going to send one, I am a creative person. My lighting is always perfect.
What you wanted bronzed and contoured with some highlighter on it.
Facetune that shit. I don't care. But like
I have some really disturbing images popping up in my head.
All I'm saying is be creative when you're sending anything, your hoo-has and your foo-foos.
You are asking for hoo-has and foo-foos.
I'm not. I'm just
You
saying.
are.
Anyways, I'm taken. I'm a married woman.
Who is asking for
I'm saying if I have to see it, it better be good. That's all that I'm saying.
No, but apart from the who has, what else are you getting in the DMs? Because like I do know that there's a lot of shit that goes down in everyone's DMs, including mine. I'm also a married woman, but it's sometimes really interesting.
Once somebody sent me my own address and kept saying they're going to show up. And then they would just send it and keep saying show up. And then once
Did they show up? To summarize it, Jason wants only face-tuned dick pics. May or may not reply to you with where to meet him. He is currently taken, but if he wasn't, there was potential for you to go on a date with him.
Oh.
And listen, money is always great if you're going to have your heart broken anyway. So I agree with that.
Yeah. मैं उस तेरे शहर में आके तेरा चेक उठा के जाएगा. Like that was my attitude. तेरी गली में. Like that was the...
I love that. Thank you for coming on the pod. Thank you for just being you more than anything on this pod. Because I feel like a lot of us, like I mentioned earlier and before, recording as well, you are unique in your own most special, most beautiful way. I love your journey. I'm so glad you have this incredible story to tell. I'm very grateful to have you in like IRL in my life.
Oh my God, thank you.
Because I do think that you are one of the people that really knows how to be authentic with just no fucks to be given, which is really admirable. So thank you for coming on the pod.
Thank you. I just want to say, whoever's listening to this, one life you get to be you. We never may get this back. So live. And thank you for having my back, Aanam, every time I was vulnerable. And thank you, Jerry, if you're listening to I wish you were here.
You want to tell them to like your posts as well?
I also please like my post, build my algorithm. Paisa milta hai mere ko. Thank you very much. And Aanam ka bhi. Viral karo hum dono ko. Famous. Verified hai hum dono. Or brand bhi heavy verified. So.
With that, we're going to end this pod. Thank you so much for listening. Tune in for the next one. Every Wednesday, there's new episodes. See you then.